Standard poll of the first in the nation caucus state. And so we've seen all of these numbers about national polling in this Republican race. But as you say, it all starts in Iowa. And the theory of every candidate who's trying to beat Donald Trump is that they can win Iowa, get traction in Iowa, and take that slingshot to the next wave of primaries and to the nomination. So the Iowa polling, we have been missing all summer, high quality Iowa polling. Well, right now we've got the gold standard to unveil to you. This again from Ann Selzer, part of our partnership, a new one with the Des Moines Register. These are the numbers here. This is the bottom line in terms of asking likely caucus goers who they would support right now. Trump is well ahead, more than 2-1, 42%. Ron DeSantis, the only challenger in double digits. He's at 19%. Tim Scott, just under 10%. You see Nikki Haley, Mike Pence, Chris Christie. You go all the way down to Will Hurd at 1%. So Trump with that sizable lead here in Iowa. Looking inside the numbers a little bit, evangelical voters in particular. In 2016, remember, Donald Trump did not win evangelical voters in the Iowa caucuses in 2016. He didn't win the Iowa caucuses, in fact, in 2016. Ted Cruz did. But among evangelicals now in this poll, Trump is at 47%, nearly 50% of evangelicals backing Donald Trump. 2/3, roughly, of all Iowa caucus goers in 2016 identified as evangelicals. This is a huge voting bloc in the Iowa caucuses. There's Trump at 47%. And by the way, there's Mike Pence, who has built his political career in large part on ties to evangelical Christians. He's at 6% with evangelicals, and his unfavorable rating, 51% with evangelical voters in Iowa. That's Pence, who obviously has taken his share of heat from Donald Trump over his actions on January 6th. Asking Iowa Republicans here, has Trump committed serious crimes? Only 26% believe so. 65%, nearly 2/3, say he's not committed serious crimes. Very interesting tidbit. This poll was conducted sort of between the news coming out of Georgia last week of the latest Trump indictment. The portion of the poll that was conducted before that news broke had Donald Trump leading in Iowa over Ron DeSantis by 18 points. The portion of the poll that was conducted after the news of the latest indictment broke had Donald Trump's lead swelling to 25 points. So again, you do see that rally around Trump effect that seems to take hold with each one of these indictments. You saw that in this poll. Also, historically here, Trump leading by 23 points. The Des Moines Register poll is one that has a rich history going all the way back to the 1980s. These are Republicans at this point. These are Republican races at this point in the cycle. Who's had a lead comparable to Donald Trump's 23 points? Well, George W. Bush back in the 2000 cycle, he led by 27 at this point. He ended up winning by 11. Bob Dole, they called him the president of Iowa for a while. In 96, he was up 46 points at this point. He won in 96, but only by 3 points in the caucuses. So there's an example where a big lead shrank dramatically. And then you do have some examples here of candidates who led at this point and ended up losing. Their leads weren't as big as Trump is right now. But if somebody is going to make a move and catch Trump in Iowa, who might that be? One way of looking at it is this. Ask about the favorable, unfavorable ratings of these different candidates. And I think a couple things are notable. DeSantis may be 23 points behind Trump, but DeSantis actually has the best margin here on favorable, unfavorable. Look at this, 66% of Republicans in Iowa have a favorable view of DeSantis, 29 unfavorable. Trump's number is very strong. It's stronger than it was for Trump in 16, but DeSantis is a touch higher. Tim Scott, extremely popular, too. Nikki Haley, popular as well. Notably, Chris Christie, who's gone the hardest after Donald Trump, extremely negative. Mike Pence, 42-53 negative. So right now, if you're looking at somebody who might be able to make a run at Trump in Iowa, maybe, it's most likely a DeSantis. It could be Scott, maybe a Nikki Haley. When we ask voters, in fact, who their second choice is, it's spread out. DeSantis gets the highest second choice total, but Tim Scott's right there with 15% as well. Vivek Ramaswamy, by the way, at 12%. So the problem for DeSantis, not only is he 23 points behind, he's very well liked still by Republicans in Iowa. But right now, it's not as if he is the default second choice of all of those voters in Iowa. And one other interesting number I think we can show you here. We just asked voters in Iowa, what's most important to you? Going with a candidate who's closest to your views. or electability, a candidate who can beat Biden. And you see about 2/3 said closest to their views on the issues. Interesting split here. The ones saying closest to their views on the issues, Trump with a massive lead there of 30 points. Those looking at electability, Trump leads, but DeSantis is within 10. Scott's in double digits. So the more the Iowa Republican voters focus on that question of electability, that's where Trump starts to get into a closer contest here with his opponent. So, yes, overall, a very big lead for Donald Trump in Iowa, one that historically has portended good things for candidates in that position. But you do see rivals here in Iowa, notably DeSantis, notably Scott, to some degree Haley, who are still very well known and very well liked by Republicans. And we have more than half Republicans in this poll saying their minds not made up yet.